we should be good to go. How's your morning?
Oh, living the dream.
Living the dream. I don't know
Yeah.
if Alabama Crimson Tide in the background, but we'll let you survive with it.
Listen, when I can move if you need me to.
It's not that big of a deal. I'm not an Alabama hater.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Well, I like to tell people Alabama's pretty good to our household, so roll Tide.
Well, I am a South Carolina Gamecock fan, so that's why.
Got it. Okay. Well, I still like you anyway.
Okay, that works.
Okay.
As long as we're good here. All right. Well, here I am again, Facebook, with another edition of Full Court Press with Coach J. I have my good friend, Coach Jessica Kern, on. I'll let her tell you about herself here shortly. I'm going to start her out with the same question that I start everybody out with. It's just a funny question to break the ice. So tell me that point as a coach when you got that first whooping as a coach or a player. You can tell me both. And you knew it's like, I got to work at this.
I'm gonna use Jock Curtis at Shaw. That's gonna be my coaching story, and he knows this, and we laugh about it. I want to say it was my first year at Lincoln, and we go into their gym. Now you know Shaw's gym, like you got people right here. You know what I'm saying? So there's a crane on our side of the floor for like warm-ups. And I'm like, okay. So they're fixing the rim, no doubt, no problem. So my kids are like, just take it for what it's worth. They come back out and they're in their practice jerseys. And their coaches were all in sweatsuits. And I was like, ain't this about something? He's like, man, this ain't nothing but practice. And we laugh. We laugh about it to this day because I was like, welcome to the CI. And I mean, we got our taps too. I mean, that was the year when they had the Kentucky transfer, the Duke transfer, and we were like, yo, these guards are 6'2", like what's really good? And but I say that because we walked out of there with our tails between our legs. But then we ended up getting him back the next 2 years. Yeah. And it was my coaching moment because, I mean, if you don't know Jock Curtis, I mean, just look at his rings. You know what I'm saying? It was sort of my initiation. But it got me to realize that if I could recruit, retain, and get relationships with people, we could do some pretty amazing things. And we did. And we broke some school records from there. So I always tell Jock, man, he was sort of the beginning of my process to light my fire.
All right. So tell some of the people that are watching tell them about yourself. Tell us about your coaching journey. I know that we met when you were at UAPB. So
that's crazy.
That's a long time ago.
Shout out to Coach Cox, right?
Right.
Back at the crib, man. Like, I'm so happy for him. Wow. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Went to Milwaukee, Washington High School. I always like to say that because you got to plug, I tell people this all the time, you got to plug your city, man, good, bad, or indifferent. You're from where you're from and you got to own it. It made you who you are.
Right.
So graduated from Milwaukee, Washington High School, went to Penn State University. I ran track and field in college. Actually, I was a communications major, minored in sociology, and had every intention to playing basketball. But just like a lot of the athletes that we recruit, especially at HBCUs, you're just tremendously athletic. And when you get into some really good hands to get molded, you do some things that you really didn't think you could do. So got into the Big Ten. I was a heptathlete, and I got pretty good pretty quick. And so I had to sort of put a halt on basketball and finish my collegiate experience. Shout out to Penn State University, made me exactly who I am today. We are for life. And so when I graduated, those that graduate don't know what they want to do. They try to go teach. And I was like, wait, I don't want to do this. And so I had been training my entire time playing basketball. My best friend tore her ACL, who's BJ's godmom. She was playing in Viernheim, Germany. And she said, listen, this doesn't play much, but man, come over here, like, let them see you, you know, and that's all she wrote from there. I was able to get picked up by representation. I had some really good people in the business help me. And 7 years later, I retired playing in Australia. And so collegiately, I was home. Terry Mitchell was at Marquette at the time. I would volunteer with the track and field program at Marquette, but Terry would always let me get in the gym and work out. And so, and I say this to people because relationships is everything, man. Like I was going to her camp when I was a little kid. So you've got to just do right by people. It's really important. And so they played Arkansas Pine Bluff, and Pine Bluff got smashed. And I had my little homemade like word cards on cardstock. And I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for Danny Evans to come out the locker room. And I'm going to be like, you don't know me. Little do I know that he's from Detroit. Little do I know that him and my mama knew some of the same people. A couple of weeks later, I got in my black PT Cruiser that I brought with the money I had left from playing overseas at Enterprise. And I drove to Pine Bluff. And that started my coaching journey, man. I was a GA at Pine Bluff, and I look back at it. And I got to keep saying this, I think, because everybody's really starting to understand in this quarantine time the extent and the impact that HBCUs have. Pine Bluff, man, the root to the tooth, there's nothing in the game that I didn't know. And at the time, yeah, it was tough. But then when I got into my first head coaching job, I knew it all because you had to survive. So that started my journey. And then we went from Pine Bluff to University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee as a media specialist, from Wisconsin-Milwaukee to Lincoln as the head coach there, from Lincoln University to Furman University, from Furman to the head coach at Mississippi Valley State University. And now I'm here going into my 4th season at Tennessee State University.
So let's talk about Pine Bluff a little bit.
Yes.
Because you were recruiting some of our players when we were at Arkansas Baptist. Talk about how that experience, how it really molded you, because I know that at that time y'all were going through some tough times, 1-2 wins season, but you were playing big name schools, but it still was also tough in the SWAC. So talk about that and how it molded you.
Yeah, so to all these young people that may possibly be listening to this or may watch the replay of this, I'm going to be very honest. So, and I say this, we have a Zoom call, the Black Women Empowerment Zoom call, that's tomorrow. And I mean, it was mind blowing the first time because I'm realizing how much younger coaches don't know and are not being told. We got to pay bills, point blank, period. And a lot of times in recruiting, I think kids look at this thing backwards. I think they look at it like, man, y'all got to go play 10 games on the road. You get 1 home game. Yo, when at any other point in your life would you be able to play at Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Florida? If you say you're good, if you say you about that life and ball is life, like we got to pay these bills. You want a new locker room. We got to pay for it. But then we push the reset. And if you're not battle tested by time conference play comes around, I don't know what else to tell you. And so that's how we had to start sort of taking a look at recruitment a little bit different. Because yeah, it is a task. It is a task to ask kids to go on the road for that long, play that many money games. And a lot of parents, I realized, didn't even know. Like schools don't, especially historically Black colleges, we don't just live on our reserve, people. Like we have to pay the bills. And so shout out to all those Power 5 schools. And over the years, I've had people that were so good to me that I didn't have to beg for a check to play. We know our RPI, we know where we are in standings, but it's getting harder and harder to make money. So Pine Bluff was great. I got to go to a lot of schools and realize what level maybe I wanted to coach at. I was our co-strength and conditioning coach, so I had to keep my certifications up with that. Had to end up doing adjunct teaching. Dr. Arrington, shout out to HPSS, you know, getting my master's degree and getting some extra ducats in my pocket. But the bottom line is, you hear it all the time, and I feel like when I get older, people talk about the grind. The grind is not meaningless hours in the office. The grind is being intentional about being relational. So like if you don't know much about strength and conditioning, get in the weight room, man. Get in the weight room with your kids. If you do on-court work, stay in the gym with your kids. Like your money will come, but the impact you have on your program should be everything. And Jasmine Abrams and I laugh about it to this day. Like keeping her under control, her and Shay Holmes was a whole different beast, you know, but they made it, and their mothers and their partners and their professionals right now. And they came from a Black college who had to pay bills, but stuck the process. So, man, Pine Bluff, and when I went back at Valley, it's like same people working there. It felt so fun. It was just fun to go back in the gym and hug people and say, man, I didn't get it then, but I get it now.
So let's move a little bit. Well, let me ask you this, and then we'll continue on your journey. Who is your biggest coaching influence? And obviously, and you kind of told us what made you get into coaching, but who are still some of your mentors today?
Listen, I will say this: my dad. Like my dad to date is still a coaching mentor that I look up to. And because we're opposite, like he has such a peaceful, like he walks in, he's even keel all the time. For most people that don't know this, I am mixed. My dad is German, my mom's Black, my mom's from Detroit, my dad's from Germany. And I always laugh because my dad's never dated a white woman. So in his mind, he's really not a white guy, which is hilarious. But he worked at an inner city school, North Division High School in Milwaukee for over 30 years. And I watched the impact that not only a man can have, but a white man could still have on inner city Black boys. And change their lives. I understand what being a servant leader became about, giving them ties for graduations, letting them come to the house just for good meals, home situations that weren't necessarily the best. Hey man, I got a spare room for you. Things that collegiately we have limitations on doing. It didn't make sense to me then, but it makes sense to me now. And he also was the founder of the Milwaukee Striders Track Club. And that's how I got introduced to running. So my dad was not only a mentor to me, I think he's a great dad, but he was a great coach. Somebody else, which is crazy. Again, please, please, please be intentional about being relational. Bobby Kelsey. To be on Zoom calls with her now blows my mind. She is the commissioner of Milwaukee Public Schools. She's athletics now. And so now to be able to use the Jessica Kern Foundation and partner with my hometown, it touches my spirit. Administrators, Dianthea Forkey at Mississippi Valley, who was at Lincoln, and I happened to be at those two schools. Christine Kelly, who was at St. Aug forever. She's amazing. Commissioner Carpenter, like, wow, she is a pit bull, man. And these are some women that I really, really looked up to. But I have to say this too, Sandy Botham at Wisconsin, Milwaukee. And I think a lot of people forget there was an era where you went from being a Division III head coach to immediately getting hired as a Division I head coach and still being the winningest coach at Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Yolette at Ole Miss. I just respect the hell out of what she does. I really do, and how she does it. She's a very consistent ear for me. And then again, Terry Mitchell. If you want to see somebody who's seasoned, who knows how to do it the right way, take a look at Terry. She's amazing.
So now let's get back on your journey. Let's talk Lincoln and PA. How was that like moving there? What's up, man?
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
He's been like, can I sit here? Why not?
Yeah. If my twins were here, they'd be like, can I say hey? Can I say hey?
It's what we do.
Yeah. They'd be like, yeah. But anyways, so talking about that, so you're leaving Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and now you got your first head coaching job. Talk about some of the pressure that you felt going into that, and then what it was like knowing that you had to come in and try to change culture, or how did you ultimately change your culture?
Yeah, I think, again, I try to, when I do these, I try to hit as many young coaches as possible. Sometimes you got to take a leap of faith, y'all. Like you have to take a leap of blind faith. Ray Williams, who was actually an assistant coach at Marquette for track and field, ended up getting the head coaching job at Lincoln. So he reached out, he said, hey, it's your boy, listen, I plugged you, man, I plugged you. And I'm like, okay, they don't know me from a can of paint. But and for most people that don't know, Lincoln is like in sort of an Amish community. So when I told you, I just totally packed up and was like, I got one TV in the back and my clothes. It was a leap of faith, but you want to go places that people want you. I think sometimes we aspire to go places where people have consistently closed the door on you. In a domestic relationship, you would never continue to go home to somebody that doesn't love you. So Lincoln gave me my opportunity, and we were the lowest funded school in the CIAA from a overall budget component and a scholarship component. So we got it done. And I tell people, listen, if you can balance your checkbook, you can run a program. The key is leadership management and having the guidelines. So this is what I'll accept and I won't accept. This is what we stand for and we won't stand for. And for us, we knew it was sort of going to be a process. I mean, from going from one win, it's pretty difficult to turn it around to get to 20, 22, 23 wins, but we were able to do it. It just took some time.
Talk about how you built that culture to get them to buy in, because when you take over a program where they've been losing or they've only had one win the previous year, and you come in with this winning attitude, like, hey, we're gonna win games, they're kind of looking at you kind of crazy, like she's out of her mind. We suck. But at the end of the day, like, you had to build the culture. So talk about some of your process of how you built the culture there at Lincoln.
First and foremost, kids have to know you care. And let me say this too. There are some places where changing the culture is almost impossible. That's just the truth. It's a systemic thing. One thing Lincoln University have, 1854, baby, they're going to brand it. They're going to imprint it. They're going to, alumni ride with you. And so that battle of the first between Lincoln and Cheney, I'm talking like I would never do my hair for that game. The gym would be so hot, no makeup, but everybody was like, it was so infectious. And I'm like, man, if we can pack the gym out like this for this game, kids ain't got nowhere to go. Philly's 45 minutes to an hour. There, you can't go home. So we have to put something on the floor. So what we started doing is a lot of promotions at games and coaches for a day and throwing out t-shirts and a day in the life and all those kind of things, free giveaways and partnering with the local communities and just giving out free stuff for recruitment purposes. There was such a gang load of JUCOs that we had never tapped into, from anywhere from, to New York, Maryland on out, right there in Delaware. We had never been to those schools to recruit. And then there was a lot of Division I transfers that we were able to get. And so we packaged kids well. Any parents that are on here, nobody wants to take out loans, man. Like, you really, really don't. A Parent Plus loan, okay. My philosophy, I know some coaches don't believe in this. I don't believe a kid taking out more than $5,000 a year in loans. If you have to take out more than $5,000, I think there's other feasible options out there, because do not be a parent at 30 years old still trying to pay it back. To me, it's not worth it. So we would do between Parent Plus, Pell Grant, academic scholarships. I've never had a team at Lincoln with a lower than a 3.4 GPA. And so those kids worked their way into academic money. We were also able to get, some out-of-state waivers so we could get some kids some in-state tuition, which helped tremendously. And then we had dual sport kids. It's what it is. You would have volleyball players playing softball. You would have basketball players playing softball, running track, threw outdoor, jumped outdoor. And we all, packaged our money together, but we created a family. Lincoln's so special to me. I tell Harry that all the time. Lincoln is such a special place to me, man. And they cared so much about those kids because they knew the sacrifice. If you were coming to Lincoln, you were a legacy or you were fully committed to the process of being there. So that's how we were able to do it. But they gotta know you care. And I'm saying that, I know why I got kids in the transfer portal. But every year when you got 6 and 7 kids in the transfer portal, do they really know you care? That's important. And that's why you see all these Division II coaches, people don't understand, getting huge opportunity to become big time Division I coaches, because they're getting kids and they're showing in a real fast way how to turn programs around.
Right. So then after how many years are you at Lincoln?
4.
So after 4 years, then comes up Mississippi Valley. Tell me how you got to Mississippi Valley. That's kind of like in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi too.
It'll be a baby. We have double quick, the McDonald's, the Walmart, and no way, Jose.
Right.
Mrs. Forkey, she is, I consider her the grandmother to my son. I'm gonna tell you, she was one of the first Black women in my life that sat me down and said, you can either make or break your career by being a single mother, so figure it out. I didn't get it. I was sort of kind of heartbroken at the time, but she's been in the game for so long. And she just said, I want you to go into every war equipped to win. And you just got to know what you're up against. And so when I left, and let me say this, leaving any school is hard. I did not want to leave Lincoln. I didn't. But being a single mom with a mouth to feed, we were barely making it. And I'm like, okay, we just don't have it here. So, okay, God, I say the same prayer at the end of every season. whatever you're going to do, please do it quick, fast, in a hurry. And he did. Jackie Carson at Furman opened doors for me. And then Mrs. Forkey 1 year later took the job at Mississippi Valley. And she said, do you want it? And I said, yes, ma'am, because I know how you function. I know how you work. And I know you're going to be committed to making this place a good environment for student athletes. So Valley's a great place. It is a really great place. I mean, coaches get to stay on campus. You have houses there. Memphis, the kids are hop, skip, and jumping away from Memphis, but it's just true collegiate environment because it's so compact, and when Nate was there and Nate was able to win multiple SWAC championships, Coach Lee Smith is there on the softball side. He's won numerous SWAC championships. Like, there's something to be said about the Valley. So shout out to Ms. Forkey and Dr. Joe Briggs, because they were really, really good to me.
That's right. I did skip your step at Furman, but because when I heard you were going to Mississippi Valley, I was like, because I think we emailed and you were like, yeah, I'm leaving. I was like, where are you going? He was like, Mississippi Valley. I was like, where is that?
And when you roll up on 82 in the middle of the night, you're like, I missed it. Like, you literally missed the university sign. But what's crazy is that we played, and we talk about moving on to next opportunities. We ended up playing Colorado, who was ranked top 20. They had a senior who was from the area and needed to get back home. Like, family had never really gotten an opportunity to see her play. And so, playing Colorado in a brand new arena, we cut the ribbon in Itabena and we had them down 4 at the 2-minute mark, was crazy. The arena was packed, the Greeks were out, it was insane. And little did I know, Teresa Phillips would be watching that game. It's just how it works, I guess. I tell people all the time, and I'm going to say it on the call tomorrow. We've, of course, everybody wants to go places to win games, 100%. But doing things in order can get you a lot more in this life than I think is more popular than people want to admit.
So the Mississippi Valley trip, how did Tennessee State come about? Because that's where you are now.
Yeah, I was going to the Final Four. Was supposed to just be talking at some small roundtables about taking over underfunded programs, right? Valley is the lowest. So I took over the lowest funded Division II program, and I took over the lowest funded Division I program. Hindsight, we probably should have thought that through twice. But my agent called me. He said, hey, Teresa Phillips would like to meet you for coffee. Would you be up for it? We sat and talked for over 2 hours, and I will never forget, she was going to watch Stanford because she's on the, championship committee, and she was going to watch Stanford practice. And she was like, hey, if you want to roll with me, let me know, or let's link up later. And I'm like, me? Let me get my stuff. I was like, I'm sitting across from the GOAT. So not only did I get to work for the Division II GOAT, now I get to work for this woman who was so groundbreaking, first Black student at Vanderbilt, set so many records at Vandy, obviously has been so instrumental to Tennessee State University and could teach me. Next 2 weeks, man, I'm in Nashville. And that's literally how that works. And I was just like, an interview went from 1 day to 2 days, and little did I know it was longer than the typical interview, but it was like being around family. It was like just talking to folk that you knew, and bigger doesn't always mean better. It doesn't always mean better, but I was working for someone who I really admired. And I think that's really important.
So now I'll go to question number 4. Or I'll stay on question 3 and then we'll go to question 4. So what did you ultimately do to help build culture there? I'll combine them. And what was your initial focus when you got to Tennessee State?
When I got to TSU, I think you have to learn the lay of the land. Being the one HBCU in a non-HBCU conference, there's benefits to that and there's setbacks to that as well. We still have to pay the bills here. That's just the reality of the situation. But you've got a lot more to work with. Nashville is a beautiful city. And it's easy to sell. Changing overall, like I said, it's a systemic thing. It doesn't always just start with on the court. It starts with strength and conditioning. It starts with the training room. It starts through the academic advisor's care. Is the campus kept clean? Are the apartments nice? Like all of those things, because you're fighting Tennessee Tech right up the road, Belmont right up the road, Austin P right here. You've got all these people within 45 minutes, that you're fighting against who have newer facilities, than you. And so, we started with that. We want to be the dog that's in every fight. We don't want to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. We want to claw. We want to scrap. We want to fight. We want to do everything that we can do to even be in the fight. And that was sort of kind of year one. To all my coaches out there, first time head coaches or period, that first year, I'm going to tell you, is your honeymoon phase. It's going to be your honeymoon phase. Years 2 is where it gets ugly. And I always say that when I'm telling people about programs, because one, everybody's going to do and say what you want them to say because it's something new. Year 2 is when all the culture killers begin to come out and you really get to find, okay, this is what's been going on. And that's where you have to stand steadfast, right? Our wins have not come as fast as obviously we've wanted them to come. We've had kids transfer, wanting to necessarily be closer to home, or I'm gonna be honest with you, going bigger than us. And it does happen. And it's unfortunate that it happens, but it's the nature of the beast that we work with. And so scheduling is a lot more attractive for next year. We've had some kids that have really, really stuck it out. I've had some really good staff members. Coach Stallings went on and she's the head coach at Wiley. Ronnie Enoch is now working on the staff with recruitment at Syracuse University, which is big time. Brene Dancer is at North Texas. And so that's a part of the process too, knowing that people are gonna fly, but they've been a part of the process. So year 4 should be a big turnaround here. We have a new AD, Dr. Mickey Allen, who is coming in bright-eyed, bushy-tailed and ready to work, and I love it. He's a local guy, Murfreesboro guy. So it's not easy, y'all. And I want to say that and be very clear. It's not easy, but when you get your breakthrough, there's not a feeling like it. I to this day remember my son standing at the end of the tunnel championship game for the CIAA tournament holding a Coach of the Year sign. I mean, there's nothing like it.
That's great. So with the kids transferring, coaches leaving, obviously you don't have your initial staff there. How did you go about building the culture there? Because I know it's probably different from what you did at Lincoln. It's different from what you did at Mississippi Valley. So now you're here, a little bigger place, bigger city, definitely, because I played at Western Kentucky, so I know about Nashville. And you're like right there with Tennessee Titans and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
So how do you build that culture now with people transferring and so on down the line?
Yeah, I think, and I think these are going to be ongoing conversations that we consistently have with the NCAA. I think coaches that, and I'm extremely proud to be a part of a governing body with women basketball coaches who are no longer holding their tongue in regards to transferring. When you can transfer, how you could transfer. My personal opinion, freshmen should have to stay. Point blank period in any shape or form. Summer school, first year. I can't even think back when I was 17 and 18 and I probably wanted to leave. And Mr. Kern said, please keep your butt right there at Penn State. You know what I mean? Right. And then, there's going to be some Division II powerhouses that come out and Division III that come out the complete blue that were able to package kids and give them the gamut. And they're like, bet I can do all of that. A part of that culture is the community around you. You're nothing without the community that supports you. We had record-breaking numbers for Kids Day a year ago. There wasn't a school in the greater metro area that had more kids. That's when you get all those kids to your camps. That's when you get all those parents to your camps. And so, yeah, it is a lot with branding. I tell people all the time, I wanted nothing to do with social media at all. But then I ended up going to Valley. We didn't really have a huge budget to promote the program. What better way to do it for free than on your social media channels? And so get yourself out there and what your program is about. But I told you, we started wanting to be dirty. We ended wanting to be infectious. We wanted people to leave our gyms like wanting to ooze blue, wanting to be like, yo, I got to be a part of that. I want to be a change agent. And that's what's really important. And I think staffing is huge. Chelsea Hudson, a TSU legend, TSU alum, OVC legend, wanted to come back home. She's been through it. She knows what it is to get dirty and to make it happen, which is really important. Deontay McChester was a former head coach. He understands how it feels to be burning in that head seat. And so that was really, really important. And then we've got an SEC legend working on our staff as well, which was great to bring her back home. And then Sarah Jones, Sarah Jones stepped in for me this past year, and she played at a very, very high level at Villanova, has some OVC experience. And so coupling all that together, that you're going to get tough-nosed kids. You got 2 tough-nosed guards. D. Davis was a huge tough-nosed guard at Vandy's a legend. But now it's time for the kids. We're old. So when we say we're old, we did all this stuff and kids be like, dude, come on, stop playing. You can't run them out. Try me. You know what I mean? So it's now implementing it all with kids that think like you. And yes, that's a part of it in Nashville. We're not a completely gated in campus. So you got to reel your babies in. And homecoming, you really got to reel them in. You know what I mean? So
let's talk philosophy a little bit. What is ultimately your coaching philosophy, and then go into your defensive philosophy a little bit?
Sure. We like to score in the first 12. It's real simple. That's either going to make for real messy basketball, or it's really going to make for fast basketball. Just depends on how you coach it. We're a transition first team set up in set secondary. I like a lot of quick hitters. My claim to fame has been stretch fours. Shea Holmes, stretch 4, right? Typically when I get kids, they can't step out, but by the time they leave, they can. The European model of basketball, it's not rocket science. It's been this popular for this long, and this is why European players are so successful when they come to the States, because you can do everything. So I would much rather recruit, especially post players, 4s and 5s who can do it all, that are simply back to the basket players. My guards got to be tough nosed. If you're going to be 5'5", 5'6", and I'm going to take you, you got to be under somebody's elbows defensively and be a flat out gnat. So on the offensive end, we like to score really quick. This year, we tried to open the floor up a lot more for dribble drive opportunities. But our claim to fame is transition and quick hitters. Defensively, we like to run and jump a lot. And I know coaches, I know, we want to have 3-hour practices and we want to teach this call and we want to teach that call. Let me tell you something. The best and funnest teams to watch are teams that run and jumps is like on instinct. They just know. If I go, you go, we go. I'm going to pull for you, you're going to pull for me. And it's very hard to scout. A big claim to fame for me has been an inverted 1-3-1 with my point guard being the point man in the back. Because I've had some point guards that are very smart and have a very good basketball IQ, and they're very vocal, which helps a lot. And you give and take a lot at HBCUs, right? You get a really, really long athletic kid, but she's not the most talented. Well, that's the kid you want up top that can get her hand on a bunch of balls. We like to have a lot of tangibles defensively. Kills is 3 consecutive stops. We want 7 kills in a game. We're looking to at least get 30 deflections every game. That means the ball change direction in some capacity, and get your jersey dirty. And so it sounds great. And I've been watching a lot of Zoom about offenses that I think might be advantageous to my team. But the truth is, you got to have the kids to do it. That's just the truth.
That you do. So do you hang your hat on defense more so to create your offense, or do you worry about, you focus on getting the kills to get into your offense to where you can score in the first 12?
This is where I got to tell you my philosophy changed. At Division II, I was an extremely defensive-minded coach. That was the important part. Where you maybe had less talent, you could get out and run. But bottom line, you got to have kids that can score the basketball. I think you can teach kids to defend with spacing and body mechanics. But if at the Division I level, I don't care what level it is, if you don't have kids that can score, or you don't have a 6'5" Amazon in there that's blocking things to the rafters, you got to get kids that can flat out score the basketball. And so we were lucky, and next year we'll have shooters on both sides of the ball, which from a transition component allows my 4 to bring the ball up and start the break, which makes life a lot funner and a lot easier. Yeah.
So let's talk practice planning a little bit. How important is practice planning, but how much time do you allot to adequately prepare for one particular practice?
Yeah, so me and my coaches before and after practice, and I know if you're a coach, some of us are coaches that want to meet, and you'd be like, yo, listen, I just have to get lunch. Like, come on. But we like to meet before, we like to meet after practice. And I know a lot of people that may be listening to this, you don't have the luxury to do so for a 5:30 a.m. practice every single day. But we like to at least meet and have a focus. What I have learned is, and I was guilty of this, I'll admit this, doing way too much. Like trying to get a practice plan in and never getting through a full practice plan. And you're like, I don't understand. I added 30 minutes. I added 5 more minutes. I added, but the kids have to master A before they get to B. And I know we get so anxious when the season gets started because we're like, I haven't gotten through everything on this checklist. But you got to have an identity, and you will never have an identity if you don't do one thing extremely well and at a high level. Right? To just get through things is one thing, but getting through it at a high octane level is a whole nother thing. So I try my absolute best never to go past the 2-hour mark with practices. You lose kids, 90 minutes max. And I challenge a lot of coaches out there. If you look at your practice plan, or you can maybe have a manager or somebody, the amount of time that you took to get water, the amount of time you took to talk, if you can time yourself, you're going to realize you're talking for like 30 to 45 minutes of the 2 hours. So you really just want them in the mix and going. So then that's when you look at your individual sessions a little different and say, maybe I have to take you off the court, but we got to do breakdown. You need to see yourself and what it is that you're doing. And individual sessions are so important. My God, when you get kids that are self-disciplined and they're going to go up and put up their shots anyway, they're going to get in the gym, they're going to get on the gun, they're going to do those things. You can now have your individual coaches show them in practice why we're having to waste time showing you these things. And I'm going to take my individual time now and show you why coach is constantly on you. And most of the times with our kids, I'm going to be honest, they're trying to go so fast to get it so right that they get it so wrong. Yeah, so I try not to go past 2 hours. I remember being an athlete, my mind is gone. I'm not thinking, I'm not hearing you. And so sometimes there's been days, and I think every coach has had this, and I'm like, get out. We're not doing it today. I'll see y'all later, because this is not what we're gonna do. And kids don't want to disappoint you. They don't, y'all. I know you've got some tough-nosed kids, and you'd be like, "Arr!" But kids really don't want to disappoint you. They do want to get it right. But we knew the kids we recruited. So like, if they can't focus, make a concise practice plan that this is your focus. That has worked a lot better for me. And I do a lot of tricking our kids with drills that end up being conditioning and shooting, that they don't realize it, but it's competitive.
It's always good.
Yeah.
So how do you focus? How do you decide what you're going to focus on in a practice?
I think you got to know the identity of your program. First and foremost, like next year, we'll be extremely offensive minded. And so we have to make tangible goals. Good managers are everything. They are everything. So one of the tricks that I do in practice is I have numbers laminated all the way to 100. They're just 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper laminated. And we come up with our goals, and the managers are taping them to the back of the backboards, whatever that goal is. If it was to how many consecutive threes we wanted to make, how many kills we wanted to have, how many deflections we wanted to have, how many scores did we get in trips. And if we get it, it's visually seen. And so if it's not there, they know. Go touch a letter. The letters at the top of Gentry Center are the aisles. So if you're in aisle E, go up and touch E, right? You already know. And so, but when they start getting competitive on their own, and what I stopped doing, y'all, I stopped stopping plays. Like when kids are out there and they're finally getting it, even if it's wrong, let them get going. Let them get going so then we can correct, you know what I mean, and get it going from there. So I think kids have to have tangible things that they can obtain. Everything is on the clock. Everything is competitive. They don't know what they can't see.
That is good. So the numbers represent your goals, and then how do you make them run the stairs to get to the letter?
It depends. So here's the strength and conditioning. If it's fast twitch, we're every single stair, right? We're every single stair to the top. If we're working more explosive mechanics, like for example, on days that you're sharing the weight room with another sport and you can't necessarily get it in, we're bounding, up the stairs. We always have our managers having circuits on all four corners of the court. So if you're out, you're never idle, because we are on borrowed time at TSU when it comes to court time. We really, really are. So you're never just going to be standing there to be standing there. There are big whiteboards on both ends of the court. So a coach can always be teaching and showing while I'm instructing, and you're getting some type of conditioning in the process. I think kids have correlated conditioning with always being wrong versus making you excellent. I am not running you because you lost. I'm running you because at the end of the day, number one, you're getting yourself better. And number two, you're going to think twice about making a dumb pass. That's just the reality of the situation. And so kids got to get that. But I understand any coaches that are on here that are on borrowed time when it comes to court time, you have to make the absolute most of it. Most of it. It's so important.
I got to type something down that you said. Kills are 3 stops in a row, right?
Yeah. Kills are 3 stops in a row. And we try to get 7 in every game, which typically means, and a charge can count as 2. So let's say we got 1 kill and a kid just took a major charge. You're going to get 2 points for that. And we're going to add that. So that'll end up being a full kill.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question is in a game. All right, let's minus that one. Cool. So you touched on this a little bit. How important are your individual workouts to you? And then how do you decide who's in your individual workout groups?
We've done it many different ways. We've done, guard post specific. We've mixed it up that every single kid work with every single coach. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that didn't work too well. And that didn't work too well because some personalities just don't match. That's just the truth at the end of the day. You're trying to get through to a kid, you're trying to coach a kid. She may have, this mama-daughter relationship with Coach Kern, but then she may have men issues. And then when you get into her, then she shuts down. And it's something that you hate to admit, but it does happen. So what we tried to do is we have a lot of tweeners. We got a lot of kids that go 2, 3, 4. So in individual sessions, we tend to rotate tweeners and guards together, but true posts are with true posts. Because with Coach Hudson, you're going to get hit with the bag. Everything's going to be high octane. Your shirt is going to be drenched sweat when you're done. And we've kept it consistent because then I feel like your position coach can say the same thing to you the same way. This is not like YMCA Boys and Girls Club where, hey, you get a shot, you get a shot. No, your guard coach should be able to pull you over and tell you exactly what it is that she knows to fix your shooting mechanic versus a post coach who just had you for a week. We tend to do them in 30-minute increments, but sometimes I will take away from that time. I'll take away from that time. If my assistant coaches say, listen, we've been getting it in, I need like 15 more minutes. I would much rather when you catch the ball, you know how to see, pitch, pivot, go, than trying to do it all on the fly and we're turning the ball over. So we've done it many different ways, but I think the best way for us has been pretty much dealing with your position coach. Yeah. But my coaches know if it's not high octane, don't do it. Do not waste their time, your time, and my time by explaining. So you better take some time either in the office or whatever, because when we hit this hardwood, you stretch, you ready, let's rock. Because the kids' time are so limited.
Asking the coaches that you've named and the people that you've named that have been mentors to you, if I ask them 2 characteristics that make Jessica Kern as a coach, what are they going to say?
Passionate, that's for sure. Which can go off to so many other words. But passionate. I freaking love what I do. I love the people I work with. I'm going to give you my all. Even if we don't come out on top, you're going to get all of me. And I think servant. Not only do I serve my family, I serve the God that I serve every day. I try to serve these kids with every ounce that I have, and sometimes I fall short. But they know you're going to give and get. If you give me everything you have, I'm going to consistently give you everything I have. And I say servant because I could have said caring. But my overall mission in this world is just honestly to leave it a better place. And I know that sounds so corny, but it's true. I mean, I'm a little Black girl out of the city, man. Like, it's important for me to go back and to give and to see young women live a life that they never thought they could live. And for every coach that's doing this, and it's simply to win games, and kids don't come back and show you them as doctors, as mothers, as biochemists, you got to look at yourself, man. Like, we can't just recycle and use these babies. And sometimes, let me say this, sometimes you're not the leader for that camp. We're supposed to be changing kids' lives.
You're intense. I know that. I give you
That's
that.
why I wear a ball cap, you know, because when my eyebrows go up and it looks a little scary. So
Oh man, you talked a little bit about identity. I'm winding down. Talked a little bit about identity. How important is it for a team to have an identity? And if people that don't know you, what is the Jessica Kern team's identity?
I always say a disciplined woman's a free woman. We're gonna all those old school dumb things that kids think are dumb, right? You're not rolling your shorts playing for me. You should know that. Order them in the right size. We're not doing this. I was a track and field person. Okay. When I look like a track athlete, wear a track uniform. Okay. Right. We're all gonna be the same. White socks, white shoes, black socks, black shoes. We're all gonna be the same. I'm all for you being an individual, but being a lady in the process. Whatever your walk and journey of life of being a lady is, I'm going to make sure you own it and you're swagging out doing it. It's real important. You look good, you play good, you feel good. We are respectful. You will not catch my kids running amok. That's just not going to work. I can't sit in front of your mom, your dad, your granny and promise things and then come here and I let you lose your mind. Like, we can't do that. And I tell girls all the time, like, we do media training. I've had a lot of coaches that have asked me, like, how do you do it? It's free. You don't need a media specialist to do media training. You get a camera, you tape your kids, and then you let them critique each other. And what you're putting out there is what people are seeing. So we've decided to become brand ambassadors. And I want people to start taking on their programs, not like it's a university, but it's a brand. If you learn to become a brand ambassador for your company, which for me happens to be Tennessee State University, it's infectious across the board. And my kids know how to speak in front of people, even the most shyest of young ladies. And it's important to meet these young women where they are. Meeting them where they are is very, very important. So that's been a very, very big part in sort of kind of getting this thing going and sustaining. Let me say that. Yeah.
If you're going, I'm going to put it in two different ways. If you're down one, you need to stop. What defense are you going to? And if you're up two and you need or if you're down at one, you need that basket now. What offense or what set or what are you going to do offensively? So what are you going to do defensively to get to stop so that you get the chance to go down offensively and run whatever it is you run in the game?
Okay, so we rotate very, very well on the backside. So I'm gonna go on the defensive side first. People know we want people to make a long pass and a quick decision. So more than likely, we're going to have an anticipator and we're going to run and we're going to jump hard. We're probably not going to be huge on the backside because our mobile 3s and 4s rotate very, very well on the backside. Jaden Wrightsell, which was a power forward for us, led the league in steals this past year. So if we're looking to get the bucket in our hands, I'm probably going to anticipate and run and jump pretty early, rotate hard. Into the races from there. Offensively, because like I said, we have 2, 3, 4s that do it all. We did a lot of pinch post action. And Deasia Richardson was a phenomenal knockdown shooter for us this year, and Jasmine Young was as well. So I could see us going to a quick hitter from the pinch post and going from there. Our 4s make really good reads, reject and drive, come off the screen and kick, drive, make a pass for another pass. We practice the one more a lot. And our rule is if your teammate yells one more, you in blind faith have to give her the ball. You have to give her the ball. If we swing, and she's down and ready, You got to give her the ball because we're such a good offensive rebounding team. We just gave ourselves 2 possessions. We know that. We believe in that. So I would say for us, with the identity of our team, we would do some pinch post work because there's going to be a mismatch somewhere in there. A 5 is going to be holding a 4, or a 4 is going to be holding a 3. It's bound to happen.
So I got to ask this question before I ask you my last question.
Sure.
Do the players, and ultimately this question goes hand in hand, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know this is coming.
Okay.
You got to answer one or the other. You can't say both because we know it's both.
So much pressure. Okay.
Do the players make the coaches, or do the coaches make the players?
Can I phone a friend? No. I am going to say, without them, there is no me. So I am going to say the players make the coach. Although we do the groundwork to make the program and X, Y, and Z, I can't dribble it for you. I can't shoot it for you. Ultimately, I think they make me who I am at the end of the day. And I think a good leader would always put her team first. So I would say players make me.
What is your advice to aspiring young coaches, no matter where they are, no matter how old they are, they're getting into coaching, because you could be 40 and be a young coach because it's your first year coaching, or you could be 25 and be a veteran coach. So right. Young coaches, what is your advice to them?
My advice to young coaches is stay the course. And when I say stay the course, I don't want people thinking that the joys of this business are only the wins. The joys of this business, as I keep saying, are changing lives. Every job is not a good job, guys. I need you to know that. I really do. Yeah, I was once, 24 when I got into it, and I needed my first opportunity. But I have a foundation of faith that I stand on, and there are some non-negotiables I just won't go for. But I'm also at a place in my life where I am more than willing to say, no, thank you. Than to do something and endure something that I would never put my own child through. So when I say stay the course, sometimes you're going to get hit and things are not going to make sense, but I am a firm believer, my God, that the right way is the right way, and good things happen to really good people. So that would be my advice. And I know people say this is a relationship business, but y'all, this goes back to the golden rule. It just goes back to the golden rule, do unto others. That's it.
So I have a question that I've been wanting to ask, and we can answer it on here, or we can answer it off. Okay. What is your? I see a lot of stuff that you, after you post, you put left foot, right foot.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means putting one foot in front of the other, and you got to keep going. I think if you're at a standstill, I don't care if sometimes you're even moving backwards, baby, you just got to keep moving. And I think we've all been at that point in our life. Actually, I have it tattooed on my foot, amongst many other tattoos. That's a whole nother conversation. I think as people, I talk about the 3 to 5 rule all the time. 3 to 5 things usually go wrong, y'all, before 12 noon, or sometimes if you got babies and families, before you even walk in the door at work, it's just gone wrong. And some of us have been hit really hard. I'm a very big advocate on mental health, right? COVID-19 has not only hit our families physically, but mentally. There are so many people struggling, like the walls are closing in right now, that can't get to their therapist, have anxiety and depression issues, are medicated. And so for me, I think that goes with the positive affirmation of life. If you just keep moving, baby, good things will happen. So that's what left foot, right foot means. And, I tried to keep it as simple as I possibly could. I actually talked to a coach yesterday. This is that time of the business where it gets ugly. And I said, baby, you did all the right things. You just got to steadfast, stay prayerful, and keep pushing. Good things happen to good people.
Well, that's good. You have anything else you want to say? Because I usually get questions from Facebook over here, but nobody's asked questions. And I mean, I could keep going all day, but
Wow. And you know what? Next time, and I pray there's a next time, we can do it next time, that I can put this out and I can blast, on social media and stuff like that. The last thing I just wanted to leave people with, and this is more from a faith component. Our faith is being tested right now, as people, as mothers, as fathers, not just as coaches. I think the true essence of a person is coming out right now. A lot of times athletics gives us false hope. It gives us that false courage to hide behind. If you are somebody that, and I put this out the other day, if you are genuinely dreaming a dream and not daring to take it, I don't know what you're waiting for. So if this is your opportunity to take your leap of faith, do it. Do it, because there is somebody watching you. I didn't know how many people, I promise you, I didn't know how many people at Pine Bluff, that would know me that I didn't even know them. I just got in it. I just wanted to work. That's all I wanted to do was work. But at the end of the day, it's led into, one thing we haven't talked about is the Jessica Kern Foundation. And for me, that's jessicakernfoundation.com. Please feel free to go to the website, drop us a note. We just want to serve. We just want to serve, educate, and empower. That's all it is. There's Kern's Closet. So if you know a young person that is struggling with clothing right now, it's all donation based. It's a nonprofit. We box it up, we bow it up, we send it to you. No questions asked. And Kern's commitment is investment properties. And so we rebuild and we rehab homes for hardworking parents. There are a lot of parents out there that the government deems with 3 children making $40,000 is enough to live. Well, they deserve to have a nice home too. And so this is not Section 8 housing. This is good, hardworking folk that need a great place to live. And we want to make sure you have the amenities that you deserve. So if you're dreaming, man, 10, 15 years ago, people told me that I couldn't get out the city, and here we are. So in the process, bless somebody along the way.
Well, a couple questions popped up. Darvin Johnson said, "What's up with the Alabama logo, Jess?" We've already discussed that.
Okay, my better half, for most people that don't know, is a football coach here at Alabama, and so I support him just like he supports me. He's an HBCU product, and so we've got a pretty daggone good thing going here. And I'm telling you, when I prayed for not a man, I prayed for the man. God came through in a big way, so that's why. Roll Tide.
Nothing wrong with it. And then Coach Devontae Brewer said, "Is there any way that we can contact you?"
Heck yeah. All my social media channels are at Coach_JKERN. Hit me up on those, and then I'll follow you and we can exchange information. Y'all, he'll tell you my cell phone's open. Like, I'm not one of these coaches. I might be crazy busy, but when coaches say, "Hey, hit me for everything," and then you never hear from them again, like that's not my deal. So the best way is to hit me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. At those handles, DM me, and I will give you my personal information so we can chat.
Well, I think that's all that I got, and that's all that you got. I'm going to take us off live, and we can chat a little bit longer. But thank you all for tuning in. She will be back on the show, as she's already invited herself back, which is okay. And we'll do a better job. I'll put it out there. We'll put it out there a little better next time so that people know that she's coming on. But I really thank you for taking time to do this. And the coach just said, I appreciate it. And yeah, thank you.
Thank y'all.